Hi, I'm Lissa Friedman, the founder of the Enneagram School of Awakening and the founder of the Embodiment Tradition. Today we're going to be talking about enneatype 9. I'm going to talk a little bit about it, but demonstrate the energetic of it. That's what the Embodiment Tradition is about. It's about recognizing the energetics of a pattern and being able to embody that in yourself so that you can actually feel what that feels like to be that enneatype. From there, you can actually get a sense of how that patterning could loosen and unravel. So let's talk a little bit about 9. Most of us think about the 9 pattern as being an avoider of anger or intensity, confrontation, etc., power. It sits right in the middle of the gut triad. So those points that sit right in the middle of the triads that they're in have a tendency to be what we think of as avoiding, and I want to kind of talk about that a little differently today. So how I see those middle points, I see them as adapters. The 9 pattern is going to be adapting to feel comfortable, for comfort, because the deepest knot of that pattern is a sense or feeling of worthlessness, or a feeling that they shouldn't even exist, which is so awful to feel that they kind of go numb and they begin to adapt. So that's the adapting of that pattern. And what are they adapting to or from? They're adapting towards or away from anger or confrontation. So if someone near them is angry and really excited and their energy is big, they may adapt away from that. If the energy of the pattern is gentler, kinder, softer, they may adapt towards it. So there is a kind of a shape shifting to feel comfortable, to feel like they belong. So let's talk a bit about anger then, because that's primarily what they're known to avoid. And so anger, I see anger as a flame. When it's full blown, it is a full blown raging flame. When it is just a pilot light, it is just flickering there in the belly, because anger does live in the belly. Power lives in the belly. Intuition lives in the belly. So yes, we're talking first about anger as this pilot light, and when it's triggered by one of the other patterns that has a pilot light, it flares into a flame. The 8 enneatype has this flame alive in them all the time, so that they are always energized with life and dynamic. Because that's what this anger / power can do. It gives us an energy of life that flows through us. The 9 pattern is born. So let's just see. When the 9 pattern is born, it's born free. We're born with the patterning, but all the patterns are born in their essential nature or free state. So 9 is born as pure being. That is alive, dynamic, but it is pure and quiet. So it has a pilot light alive in it when it's first born. But because of the energy of this pattern, when it begins to contract, when life begins to tighten it and it becomes more fixated, the pilot light seems to have been snuffed out. So imagine you are a being with the pilot light full and alive inside you, and then it gets snuffed out. It's as if you deflate, the energy deflates. Another way of explaining it that might make it even clearer is, imagine that I had a power cord that connected me to a power source. And if it's plugged in, then I have energy and I'm alive and I have power and this aliveness. But if it gets unplugged, then I lose the energy. And the energy of 9, that is what it is. It's been unplugged. So you'll notice that there's usually a sinking deep in the gut quality, that there's more of a deep energetic of sinking down, and the thighs and the buttocks kind of spread out. And they're very, very comfortable. So let me take my glasses off so you might be able to see. Might be too far away, but we'll try. So what goes along with this energy of deflation is that my eyes become unfocused. I can see the room, I can take in the room, but my eyes are very unfocused, so that the room is kind of vague. And I'm not tuned into anything in particular. I'm just getting kind of an overview of this room. And so when you talk to someone with this pattern, it doesn't really, they might be looking directly at you like I am right now, but my eyes are not focused. I might be seeing you and you might be blurry, because I'm not really seeing the small details. Now, let me let this go deeper into my voice. So the energy of sinking down and the vagueness of my eyes. And I might want to tell you a story. I might want to tell you something that happened today that was very important. When I went to work today, I had a meeting with my boss, and I would like to tell you about the meeting with my boss. So I got there and I hadn't had much sleep, so I needed a cup of coffee. So I went to the coffee stand and I met Anne there. And Anne was telling me about this wonderful movie that she saw the other night. And I began to talk to her about movies. She and her husband would like to do something with us soon. So you might notice that there's a slow pace and there's a meandering style. Obviously, we never got to the meeting with my boss. And whoever I'm talking to might ask me, what about the meeting with your boss? And, oh yeah, that's right, the meandering style. And so that nothing is really too intense. I'm going to take you on a slow, gentle journey. And it feels a little bit like when you're talking to somebody with this pattern, as if you were going into trance. It's like this trance state, and you don't even know maybe what was said, what wasn't said, but it feels good. It feels comfortable. Feels like I'm completely accepted and not judged. So I feel very comfortable around this. So that is a way of avoiding anger. When anger comes at this 9, they just deflate a little bit more, so that they don't care. They always have a feeling of not quite being enough because they don't have the energy in them. The other thing that they do energetically, and they do this kind of unconsciously, and we're not really conscious of it either, but they're always neutralizing things. So if you come to someone with this pattern with a lot of energy and excitement, they will somehow get you subdued. Or if you come and you're really, really down, they will somehow get you elevated so that everything is always smooth, even. They're trying to harmonize everything in them and in the world so that anything that happens to them, they will neutralize it so that there's kind of an inner harmony that's at its best. Usually, what that means is I go numb if I have this pattern. So, now let's take a look at. Actually, before I say that, I want to also say that, and this is really important, that many types will identify with the descriptions of this pattern. 7, 1, 5, 6, etc. Well, just reading the description, I want to avoid anger, I want to avoid confrontation, I feel like maybe things are too much for me. Maybe 7 doesn't do that, but it does want to avoid anger and confrontation. So many types will relate to having this pattern and think they may be a 9. But if they're alive with this energy, they're not. They haven't got that deflated, relaxed, comfortable, neutral energy. So that's why the energetic is so important in recognizing what pattern this might be. So now, I've embodied 9, and I'm going to go back to embodying. Okay, so I'm pretty much there now. I want to work my way out of this. How would I do it? Particularly if I am a 9. One thing would be to sit forward, even if the energy isn't there, to make eye contact, to be engaged. Now, they don't ever have to become gregarious, loud, angry people, dynamic. They don't have to do that. But to just bring that life force, that energy, more alive in them. They may straighten a little, bring energy into their body, focus their eyes, and that will change things. It changes the energetic expression. Now, they might even feel a little flickering, and it might feel like irritation at first or annoyance, just a little bit. And so now if they have that, and they fan that without saying, oh no, that's bad, I don't want that, to allow it to grow, that little bit of annoyance. It may seem like, why would you want to feel annoyed? Because it brings energy into our body. And then we have access to other wonderful emotions, alive, dynamic emotions. And we're not feeling as sleepy. Okay, so that is the energetic or embodiment of pattern 9. So what we talked about today was pattern 9, how it might avoid but really actually adapt. We talked about anger and the energy of anger. I embodied the energy of the 9, and I gave a little demonstration of how we might let that go. Okay, so thank you for tuning in again, and I will see you again soon.